Oh, off we go. A little more tired this morning. Oh, I'm not sure what exactly to talk about. Stayed up a little later than I meant to, though. Oh, yeah. It's kind of just, one of those things. Going to work every day, I'm always kind of a little bit draining just because, like, I don't dislike my work, really. It's just, like, I like my job better than a lot of other jobs I know I could have, and better than any other job I have had. It's just, you never really want to just get up and go do something. It's not very fun. I guess that's one of the things about it. It's hard to find good work you enjoy. And it's hard to even know what work you do enjoy, because you got to do it to figure it out. In college, I thought I was going to enjoy accounting a bit more than I do. Because I do like certain parts of it. It's just, after you've done it every single day for years, it'll start getting a little tedious. But I think it's just the same way with anything. Is once you get a job in a field, you kind of lose once you get a job in the field, you kind of lose some of the passion you had for it, because you get into all the details and find all the little things that make it difficult day to day. I don't even know what I would want to have for like a dream job. Because although it would be nice to have enough money to where you didn't have to work, I don't know if I would ever just quit working. I feel like I'd get bored just not doing anything all day. I'd like to spend a lot more time with my family, and so I wouldn't mind cutting down work to like 4 hours a day or something, or just doing it when I want to. But working just 8 hours every day, an hour driving, it's not exactly what I'd call a dream. I guess that's part of what they call, the American dream, is having a family and having a house, having a job, just kind of having everything together. But I don't know. People focus more on the house and the money and the big important job, where I don't really get that worried about my title and position. I'm not a big fan of the idea that your work matters a lot beyond its effect on people. And, like, there are a lot of really good jobs in the middle of transactions. You know, if like a realtor or, well, realtor's probably a bad example, but like a reseller of some sort. Anyone who kind of resells, it's just kind of like, you know, not a ton of value added there. I'm sure there is a bit, but in the end, it's just kind of, doesn't really feel like you're doing much, you know? Like, doing some kind of job that helps people would be more fulfilling, I'm sure, because it's not just money. But it's hard to find a good job like that, because the hard truth about it is that you gotta have money to do anything else. You need all the other jobs too. Just the focus is so hard on money these days. Everything just seems to revolve around it, and I am just really tired of that. I'm tired of having to look at money as the primary indicator of so many things. I want some other metrics, I guess. It'd be a lot better if you could see how much what you're doing has kind of helped. But all you can really see is value added. That's all that you can get out in the math. But I'm not really in an industry that's all about helping people, so it's kind of hard. It's hard to feel like my job's as fulfilling when all it's about is making sure that all the numbers are there. Because it's nice and easy to just focus on numbers. That's one of the reasons I got into accounting, is because I'm good at it, and it's pretty simple. I mean, you just have to do some addition and write everything down in the correct way. But over time, it just starts to feel more like you're just sorting things and not really doing much. Especially just because more and more stuff comes in every single day, and there's just new things to do, but they're not really new. It's just more of the same information done in a different way because it's a different day. But you end up developing the same kind of habits and routines, and just stick all the numbers in the computer, and then you're done. Problem solving is probably the most enjoyable thing I do at work these days when I'm trying to fix an issue that comes up. Just trying to figure out different ways of doing things and figure out how to solve these problems, or how to take a hours-long process and automate it down to just a few minutes. And it's kind of fun when I get those things done, but then you do them once and you're done. You don't have to automate the same thing twice. And so your day just goes back to being routines and punching in equations and numbers and going home. But just kind of seems to beat you down over time a little bit, but it isn't too bad. You know, I still get to do a lot. There's nothing that makes me too stressed. It's more just that I get bored with it, which isn't always a bad thing, but I just have these days where I wish that I had a little more of a impact. Because when your whole job's about making money and counting money, you really just feel that you're not doing anything for the wider world. You're just doing it to earn a salary. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's what I've done since I started working. I just was only looking to work so that I could pay my bills, really. But in the end, it's just something that you gotta decide for yourself. And I hope that in the future, not the too distant future either, I'm able to have enough freedom in my budget to take a job that's more about what I'm doing and less about what I'm making. Because that's what I'm really looking for. I want to enjoy the work, and I've been thinking about doing more IT or that kind of thing, because that seems like fun and like a good way to have problems to solve every day. But I think really what it just boils down to is I want to do something more than just generate work. I want to actually feel like I'm doing something. And we're back. You know, I was thinking, I've never really, well, I mean, I own a car that's a 2015 model, which I guess is 10 years old now, but my wife mainly drives that. I've mainly driven over older cars. First two were both 99s, and then currently driving an 02. Now, no, I kind of do like older cars. I know I was saying I'd like electric yesterday, and I definitely would. But I kind of like the simpler older ones. I don't like the big fancy dashboards with all the pictures and everything on there. I like just the old fashioned radio and the dials. I don't know, there's something nice about simpler things, especially with a lot of newer cars and just things in general, having like fancy dashboards and everything real simplified and dumbed down. Even like Windows updates are getting to where they're almost like almost like Apple systems where everything's just icons and you can't really do any customization on it anymore. And I think everything's just kind of going that way where it's trying to be as easy to use for the first time as possible, but it really takes something away when you don't have that hands-on experience with the details of everything. And I mean, with cars, it's getting to the point where half the time you can't even change the oil yourself because you have to get up under the engine and it's hard to get to. The air filter's back behind something, and if you want to change the battery, you got to take off half the hood. When I sold car, it was incredibly difficult to get to the battery. You had to like get up under it and take off 3 different panels that were covering it. It just seems like it's getting a lot more difficult to self-service everything. I mean, phones these days, you can't even switch your SIM card out hardly, like, and then you can't change your battery anymore. I remember I used to, if my phone wasn't working or if it was being slow, I would just crack open the back of it and pull out the battery, completely do a reset on it. And you had to pull the battery out to get the storage in there. And storage is being put most of the time in the phone, so you can't even change it on your own. I don't like the whole shift that way. I like, even if I don't do it, I like being able to self-service everything. Like, change the oil real easy on your car, get the battery switched out on your own, and all. Not just for saving money, because sometimes it's worth the cost of getting it done professionally, but so many times it just feels like it's intentionally putting barriers up so that you don't know enough about the technology to do anything to it yourself, and so that they can kind of keep it more confidential and you don't know all the specifications of your equipment. It's just getting more and more restrictive to where you just are put in this tiny little box with your own stuff, and they're wanting internet access to even play games on a lot of services, and you can't even do a single player game without accessing the internet to make sure you have the right license. It's just getting real invasive, where it feels like every part of your life has to be monitored. And it's just something that's becoming more and more of a problem. I've been wanting to switch or learn how to operate like Linux operating systems for that reason, because it just feels like Windows is really pushing you out to where you have to sign up for all their stuff, and I'm worried one of these days I'm gonna try and get on my computer and have to pay for a new subscription just to log in. It just feels ridiculous. I want to be able to buy something once and then just never have to worry about it again. Not have to constantly receive updates and subscriptions and packages. Just be able to get something, and then if I need to do something, I can do it myself. And all the updates are optional. Because I used to be able to get on my computer and, manage most of the settings from a single screen, manage every detail of user permissions, not such limited categories where it's just like, oh, you're an admin or you're a standard user. It used to be where you could go into the console and do a lot more in-depth work on it and really just set things out how you wanted them. And I know you can still do that, but they've hidden it behind like 5 different levels of menus, and you have to pretty much know how to code to even understand how to get past all of this. When really it should just be all right there. It's available. They just hide it so that they can control the experience so you have less complaints. I know that user error is the biggest issue in IT. Like 99% of the time the user is the problem. But if you take away all the choices to minimize that user error, you're going to get less complaints, but people are just not going to have as good of an experience overall. It just kind of comes back to caring more about the bottom line than about making sure people have a good experience with it. Because if everybody's experience is a little worse, but you can cut half of your complaints department, people are going to do that. Whereas I think it should be where you want the user experience to be the best it can be, even if it leads to more issues. Like, I'd rather be able to mess up than be given a baby-proof program or be sold a car that has a bunch of essentially child-proof settings on it so that you can't even switch out your own air filter without having a professional assist you. I don't want to have to get a jack in my garage just to fix my brakes. I mean, it doesn't even feel like it's a safety thing, because if it was a safety thing, they'd put out more information, not less. But it's the same with the phones. I mean, they just don't want you messing up the phone and then blaming them, whereas I'd really like a phone. I mean, maybe I should look into a phone that runs on some kind of customizable software rather than Android or iOS. I really hate iOS. It's just very restrictive, and they get all your information. And I also know that you can't download any third-party apps, and I know from experiences I've had looking at their guidelines and regulations for iOS apps, it is a crazy amount of work for somebody to just do something they've already created and is already up to every standard, but they have to redo the whole thing just because Apple wants their proprietary cut. And it's just kind of ridiculous having so many different ecosystems instead of just letting people do it all themselves. But that's where the money is. That's what we're stuck with for now. You know, I feel like I've been a little negative today. I think it's probably just because I was tired earlier and hungry. Headed to lunch. Weird how being tired or being hungry or thirsty, just like the things your body needs affect you way more than you would think they do, you know? Like, when I get hungry, I just get real kind of tired and quiet and just want to sit down and not do anything. And same if I get really low on water. If I haven't had enough water today, and just get tired and start like just getting quieter and quieter and just sitting down. I used to just get real hungry and like my stomach would start hurting, but it doesn't really do that anymore so much. It's just I get quiet and tired. But yeah, it's weird how your body has those different reactions to things, and like it tells you when it means something, but not always in the way you'd expect. Yeah, now that I got a little bit of a break and some food in me, I feel a lot better. It's past a fireworks stand, you know. Fireworks are fun, but they are dangerous. 4th of July is coming up in like a month. And we always end up doing something for the 4th, usually with fireworks. And they can be dangerous, but it's a lot of fun. And not really irresponsible with them, so ends up being fine. We have some family members who are, well, my wife's family especially, she's told me stories about them being a little bit crazy with fireworks and throwing sparklers into the fire, different things like that. And it's just one of those things where when you're around the right people, fireworks are a lot of fun. And you just got to be a little careful, make sure you don't blow anybody's hand off, but usually they're fun. But if you get around the wrong people, then it can feel stressful and dangerous. Just like with, most things. But, because if you're in the car with somebody who's a good driver, or at least a decent driver, you feel pretty safe the whole time. You can just talk or focus on whatever you're doing. But if it's a bad driver, you know it, and it is hard to look away from the road. My dad is a pretty good driver, but he used to be really bad about pulling out his phone, especially we'd be on vacation. And when he was driving, he'd see like a real pretty view. He would try to pull out his phone to take a picture because he said none of us could get the picture quite right, and I was not happy about that. It always stressed me out like crazy. He doesn't really do it as much anymore, so that's good. But yeah, I'd see him pull his phone out while we were driving down a mountain to try and get a picture of the view, and yeah, it was stressful. But when we're just driving around town normally, I don't get worried about him driving at all. I like to think of myself as a pretty good driver. I've never gotten into any accidents really. I had one time I was stopped at a light and I was completely still, and then a guy rear-ended me because his brakes weren't working, and there wasn't even any damage. It was like a 5 mile per hour or less collision, and so it was nothing. I don't even count that since I wasn't moving especially, so I've not really been in any accidents. The one time when I had just got my license, though, I went to a Sonic, and I was in a Ram 2500. Not a huge truck, but a little bit wider. And I don't know how, I somehow squeezed myself into where I could not get out of my car, and like where the Sonic sign is. Because Sonic here in Texas, I don't know if that's this way everywhere. I assume it is, but some places don't even have Sonic. But here in Texas, it's a chain restaurant, fast food, where you just park your car at a like little kiosk kind of thing, and you just order from there, and then they bring out your food to you and all. But the kiosks at the Sonic I was at were a little closer together than normal, because they were, I went to the ones on the side because it was a little less busy there, but I feel like it was closer together than normal. Might have just been normal and I was inexperienced as a driver, but yeah, I pulled my truck in there. I must have done it at a weird angle, because I somehow got the rear view mirror, the driver's side wing mirror, like stuck behind the edge of the kiosk, where if I backed up I was going to tear it off. And I tried to pull forward and shimmy my way to the right, and I got the left or the right wing mirror stuck on the other side. And so I don't know how I got it in there in the first place, but somehow I had managed to get myself at an angle where I was stuck, and I couldn't get out without tearing off one of my wing mirrors. I was worried, so I was trying to get it, and I scraped up my car door on that kiosk on the driver's side, and that was the only damage I've ever done to a car. But yeah, I scraped up that door and then ended up having to call my dad, and he drove up there and just managed to kind of get back and forth a couple times, get it just to the right angle to squeeze out of there without damaging the truck anymore. But I was so embarrassed. It's the only time I've damaged a vehicle. But yeah, I'm pretty glad I have not otherwise been in an accident. I mean, there were a few close calls. I know one time I was driving downtown, and I don't remember exactly what we were doing. My wife was in the car with me, and there was a four-way stop, and I stopped, or it was a light, I think, but I stopped at the light, and then the light turned green, and so I started going without, I guess I may have not quite checked, because I mean the light turned green and I had been sat there at an empty red light for like 2 minutes waiting on it. So I started to pull forward, and then out of nowhere this guy comes and just blaring on the horn, speeds by at like 50 miles per hour, barely swerves to avoid hitting us as I start pulling out, and I slammed on the brakes and swerved to the side. He swerved to the other side and then just sped off down the road like crazy. And it was like a 30 mile per hour zone. It was on some older streets that were not in great conditions. Like, he was speeding, he ran the red light. It was just ridiculous. But that's probably the closest I've ever been to being in a crash. And then just a couple times on the highway, you know, somebody's not quite paying attention, starts drifting into your lane, and you gotta honk the horn a little bit just to make sure they are awake. That's the main times it's ever been close. I feel like usually it's not too bad. Most people, I think, you gotta just pay attention, and when you need to do something on the road, do it. Because if you're kind of hesitant and are constantly just edging right to the edge of the lane, then you're like, oh no, I better not go, and wait and get close and wait, then people just aren't gonna fully know when you're going or not. And it's kind of a boy cried wolf situation where you're so indecisive that people end up just driving right by you, not even thinking that you're gonna go for it, where really, as long as there's not a danger of immediately hitting somebody, just you need to get in that lane or make that turn or whatever when you need to do it. That way people see it coming and know what's happening, and it's not some kind of weird start-stop and will it happen, won't it? Because that's where you get into situations where people make bad decisions, I feel. But then you also gotta just pay attention, because other drivers are not gonna pay attention for you. And somebody might just be looking at their phone, which is happens way too often these days, and just be staring down at their phone and not notice they're missing a turn and overcorrect, or might do something, drift into your lane, or just completely ignore a red light. And that's how it happens a lot of times, and it's not your fault if somebody else does something, but you can still prevent it by being a very vigilant driver and just keeping an eye around you. Which you can't prevent other people from making real dumb mistakes and not using their blinkers and just swerving into you before you even have a chance to react. But I mean, half of all drivers involved in 2-car accidents aren't at fault, so, well, maybe a little less than half. But it's just one of those things where I feel like most people are pretty good drivers, and you're not going to be in an accident all that often. But then there are some people who are just oblivious and reckless drivers who get in an accident every few months, too. So I've known some people like that who were in so many accidents it's hard to keep track. But I'm hoping I'm just stay accident free. Sure helps insurance costs too. But I guess that'll be about all for now. And they're back. Oh, longer than 4 hours. That's what happens. It's like we're expected to get some severe weather, and it's kind of cloudy. My wife really is into weather. She loves weather science and follows some storm chasers, and she wants to get into weather photography, so I bought her a camera for Christmas so that she could get into it. And then the camera was about all we could afford, so I asked my parents to help out and get her a lens for the camera. So they got her a very nice lens. The problem is it's a portrait lens, so it can't do wide angle shots. And so we're saving up to try and get a wide angle lens so that it can take better pictures of like a whole storm cloud and whatnot. Really like to do some storm chasing and storm photography. I think it's pretty cool too. Like I don't know as much about it as she does, but I do enjoy still the storms. I think they're beautiful, and I like driving, watching them. But it's something that's hard to do with a little kid at home. She's too young to leave with her grandparents for a weekend while we go look at some pretty clouds, so it's something that we're having to wait on for now, but definitely a hobby we want to get into. Having hobbies as an adult kind of isn't like, it's very good and you need them, but it's hard to do because hobbies are expensive. And like, I really like miniature wargaming and painting miniatures. That's one of my favorite hobbies right now, and it's very fun and takes up a lot of time, so it's not hard at all to do, but it is rather expensive these days. The newer sets, I mainly do Star Wars Legion, which is like a tabletop war game for Star Wars, and it has the first 6 movies, kind of both those eras, the prequels and the originals, plus some stuff from the Disney things here and there. But they're coming out with a lot of new stuff, and all the new sets are like $40+ each, which that's a lot. I know that it's not terrible compared to some, but like, you get about 9 to 18 minis depending on the set you're getting for $40. And that's for the infantry sets. Like some of the other sets, you get like 1 mini, and it's a big tank, but you know, it's still just 1 mini or 2 smaller vehicles for that much. It's a lot of money. So I mainly just ask for gifts from it, and a lot of the smaller ones mainly, and then save up and here and there get a larger set. But I've already got enough troops for a pretty good amount of separatists, because the 4 factions are Separatist, Republic, Empire, and Rebels. And I have just enough for a full Imperial army, and those are fully painted. And they're probably, I don't know, I really like the Empire, but I also really like the Separatists. So the Empire I don't have as many on, just because I think the sets just tend to be sold out more often, and so it's harder to find good deals on them, and they're not always available anyway. But the Separatists, I have more than enough for an army. I have enough for an army and a half at least, with probably a little more in there as well. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that. But as an adult, it's like, hobbies get expensive, but also it's just hard to find the time and justify it to yourself, because you know you need to spend some time doing what you enjoy, but there's so many responsibilities that it just feels like, it almost feels irresponsible to spend a lot of time just doing something for fun. And so it's kind of hard to get past that barrier of, oh, I want to go do this, but I should really do this first, or I should really be doing that. It's hard to just let yourself go and do something fun when you know there's other things you need to be doing as well, even if they're not urgent. It's just hard. But I know it's something I need to get better at doing. I mean, this is kind of a hobby now, just these recordings, and I haven't even managed to upload the first one. I tried to render out like a little, I don't remember what you call it, but the bars on the screen, they kind of move up and down with the sound waves, and I tried to do something like that. I figured it out mostly and kind of got it ready, but then I went to render it and realized my laptop that I mainly use is nowhere near good enough to try rendering stuff. After I set it going and went to bed, and then when I got up in the morning, it was 1% done. I said, yeah, that ain't gonna work, and just stopped the render and shut down the computer, and I haven't tried since. I think I'm gonna have to try on a newer laptop, and I'm really hoping it works on something with a little bit better graphics card, because it's going to be impossible if I have to do it on a whole new setup. I don't have the money. I'd really like to build my own computer from scratch and do my own setup, figure out how it all works, and do it myself. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. And just like, even mid-range graphics cards are hundreds of dollars, and then a good processor's a few $100s, and the case is like $50 for a cheap one, and that's just a hunk of metal to put everything in. That's not the power supply, the fans, the motherboard. There's so much extra steps on there that it feels like it's going to end up costing over $1,000 to make anything that is worth making. But I guess I could look online and try and find some cheaper parts. I know my dad had some old computer parts that I could maybe buy or get off of him. So I might be able to kind of throw something together one way or another, but I'd really like to just do it myself, because I feel like it'd give me a better understanding of the computer for one thing, and then also it would just help kind of have another hobby that I don't feel so bad about doing if it has a purpose for making something. But really it's hard to find the time for it as well, having a kid, because I want to spend just a lot of time with her, but I can't just sit there and paint. I mean, she's young enough, she's going to try and eat the paint or get it everywhere, break the models, and so I can't really do that with her in the room. But I don't want to be in a separate room, so I end up just doing something on my phone or on my computer so that I can be in the room with her. But, and then also just doing repairs, cleaning up around the house, doing yard work. It all just piles up, and you feel like you have to get all that done first, and so you end up never really giving yourself time to enjoy your hobbies. But I think I'm gonna try and do something more. I entered a painting competition in the fall, kind of early winter, for an army painting competition, and I really enjoyed that. That was a ton of fun. I had most of the army painted already, but I've never entered it into any competitions before, so I picked up another unit and then to finish out the army, and then put them all together on a board that I made, a 2-foot by 2-foot square, and I put like metal plating so I could magnetize the minis to it. Did a lot. But then I did another mini painting competition just this past weekend, and I actually won that one for the category I was in, and it was just painting a single squad. But I painted some Magna Guards for Legion, and I feel like I did a pretty good job, and I guess some other people must have agreed because I did win. But it'll be a lot of fun doing that more in the future. I really want to just keep up with that and do some more of my hobbies, but hopefully I can figure out how to work the rendering software and get these videos ready, because I do want to upload them to YouTube. I might see in the meantime if some other platforms don't require the MP4 format. But that's all for now, so I guess I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. If there's even anybody listening.